What up, guys, and happy Tuesday. So this is the third and final part to this three-part series. Pursuant to the recent defense legal filings, could this case get dismissed before trial? Let's talk law enforcement investigative errors. I view this last category as not a standalone cause for a potential case dismissal, like the IGG or PSYRAE in the first two parts, but more of a contributing factor. And to the totality of these three parts, amount to impending doom for the state's case. I've got all the details for you, so let's get right into it. Just like the IGG, another common theme through virtually all of the 13 motion to suppress filings was reckless or intentional law enforcement investigative errors. The Kohberger defense team moves to suppress, quote, all evidence illegally gathered by law enforcement and also alleges sloppy and dishonest investigative work and protocol by the Idaho, Pennsylvania, and federal law enforcement officials. The primary nexus for the FBI was the investigative genetic genealogy, or IGG, whilst allegations of Fourth Amendment violations were made towards all three, Idaho and Pennsylvania cops and the feds. And again, in particular, sloppy and seemingly extremely dishonest work by the MPD. On the FBI and IGG, did the FBI really create a fake Kohberger consumer account and then utilize that account to illegally access and search public IGG databases and websites that law enforcement is factually not allowed to use? All along in the judicial process, and again in last week's filings, Mr. Kohberger's attorneys accused Idaho law enforcement of being, quote, haphazard with the way it kept and disclosed records in the investigation, such as cut and paste galore, not saving critical work sessions, creating cell and car evidence using PowerPoint and open source mapping, not actual mapping software, selectively mapping cellular data, using small fractions of the total of Brian's AT&T call detail records in the early morning hours of November 13th, not sending CCTV preservation letters to the Idaho Department of Transportation in the attempt to examine video and still imagery on major thoroughfares in and out of Moscow during the time frame of the homicides, withholding critical and potential exculpatory CCTV south of Moscow just after the homicides, and possibly destroying it altogether, withholding critical AT&T cellular intel, like the drive test data on the entire stretch of the Moscow-Pullman Highway and at the 1122 King crime scene itself. Somehow creating cellular visuals for the grand jury on November 13th between 2 to 6 a.m. without using the required regional cellular tower list to do so, omitting material information including exculpatory evidence from search warrant applications, applying for 2 AT&T search warrants on the same day without proper due diligence on the first to justify applying for the second just a few hours later. And let's not forget seeing the MPD go in and out of that King Road residence without proper PPE or protective gear. No booties, no gloves, so reckless and sloppy. The cross-contamination that must have occurred, removing victims' belongings from 1122 King before an arrest was even made, attempting to send in a cleaning company before the defense investigators had an opportunity to properly forensically canvass the crime scene. It just goes on and on and on. So in conclusion, the stakes for the January 23rd motion to suppress hearing cannot be underestimated. And how will the motion for Frank's hearing play out? Could this case get dismissed before trial? Talk to me.